Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Paranormal Hotseat. I am your host, Donna Guerin, and with me is Christina. She's sitting in to be my guest co-host tonight. And I'm waiting for our guest to pop in, and I think he's in a different room. Just sent him the link. So he will be joining us here momentarily, hopefully. And we're gonna discuss he wants to discuss spirituality and the paranormal. Oh, I'm sorry. He wants me to send it to an email address. Give me a minute here, please. Oh, there he is.
Well, it should be an exciting evening.
And
fun topics.
There he is. Hey, Dedrick.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Everybody can hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
I can hear you. Yeah.
All right.
This is Christina. I don't think you guys met. She is the lead investigator for the Northern Arizona team.
How you doing?
Nice. Good. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Wait a minute. You're growing something here. I don't remember you having all of that.
Oh, yeah. You know, just been sitting here growing the beard, or it's been growing itself,
So you want to do your announcements first, or you want to just have our discussion first?
We have our discussion, build them up to the announcement,
Okay. So I know I don't have a whole lot prepared because it's been a really busy week for me. So I know you wanted to discuss spirituality and the paranormal.
Yeah, just spirituality in general. I mean, all that. That's a great way to actually start it out. It's all tied in together. When you start talking about spirituality and paranormal, because you're dealing with spirits.
Yeah.
But and what you've seen is a cultural shift that's taking place in paranormal investigations today. That you have different type of styles of investigators are getting involved in paranormal research and paranormal investigator. Before it was your traditional way of using equipment. And before that, you had like maybe a priest or something involved. But now you're starting to see a cultural shift where you're starting to see more spiritualists are getting involved with investigations.
Yeah. So what do you think? How do you think religion factors into the paranormal? Do you think people that are, like very religious, do you think that how do they look at the paranormal, or do they even think that it's something real to deal with? Or what do you think about that?
Well, I don't want to paint all religions with the same brush, so to speak, because there's a difference. Obviously, if you look at different branches of Christianity, which has thousands of different branches, like, for example, here in South Carolina, you have Holiness, Pentecostal, your traditional Baptist, Methodist, and everything. And you have, for example, I think in the rural areas with Pentecostals and Holiness, they deal with paranormal entity, how they talk about religion. They talk about it from a paranormal perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They're not familiar with it, paranormal science on that level, but when you sit down and talk to a pastor, he's talking in a paranormal perspective about the Holy Ghost and everything. And
right.
I think with the younger generation today, they're becoming more open with it, but then again, the younger generation is not as religious.
Yeah.
So you going into different generational stuff. If you talk to someone my mother age that's pushing 80, they don't know too much about paranormal, but everything I learned about the spiritual and paranormal world came from her generation. They just use different terminology.
Yeah. I know Christine Dedrick does. You know, he's into hoodoo, and he does a little bit of everything. Like I said, he wears a lot of hats.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like I said, and when people ask me that, they always ask like, where did that come from? And that goes back once again to my parents and my grandparents. My parents talked about ghosts and spirits for decades
Yeah.
in Southern culture, and you know, of course, TV made it into something else. But I grew up learning about the hag. I grew up learning about how to protect your home from ghosts or people getting angry and sending spirits to your home to haunt you or do things. Or for example, in Southern culture, if you see a relative come in your room and sit down at the foot of your bed, that's a good sign. Or if your grandma or granddad or somebody sits at the foot of an older person bed, they're like, well, I guess my time about up. You know, Homer Hendrick came and sat down at the foot of the bed last night talking to me. You get ready to come and get me and bring me on home. You know? So
yeah.
these are the elements of the paranormal and spirituality that often get lost, but it's also very cultural.
Yeah, I'd like to think that my mom come and visits me. Sometimes it'll feel like somebody sat on the bed like in the middle of the night when I'm asleep, like the bed will sink. And I was on Laura Gatano's. She did a live the other day, and she said that there was a lady like behind me with dark hair waving, going, "Hey, you see me?"
Right. And you know, it's funny you said, because going back into the spiritual stuff, I was raised up that if you see certain animal, which is going to lead into something I make an announcement about later. If you see certain animals in your dream, or particularly snakes, that it means it's your enemy that's coming for you. Now, I don't know if it's just me. I'll have to talk to my mom. She's still alive, or like my sisters or cousins and stuff. But I'm just talking from my journey and my perspective. I learned that my dreams sometimes come out into the real world with me. And like the other night, I had a dream I was dreaming, and I didn't see the actual snake, but I felt its tail like pow, pop me and whip me in my arm. And I rolled over in the bed and I swung at it and punched it. And then I woke up. I didn't know what it was, but knowing that it was a snake tail, meaning it was a skinny snake tail, meaning that I was like, okay, that means I'm going to see my enemy in the next few days, or somebody that has a problem with me. It doesn't have to be something intense, but sometimes it is intense. Sometimes it can be someone on your job doing something to you, and it manifests itself as a snake in your dream, you know? But it was a skinny tail, about that big, maybe about that long. I'm like, all right, so since it wasn't that big of a shape, you know, of a snake, that it's not that much of a threat. And I have spirit animals that protect me anyway, so I'm not that scared of snakes like I used to be. Anyway, 2 days later, I get into it with somebody. I'm not going to put them out there because they're family, but I have like some words with them. And the person is small and they little, and they're not much of a threat. They're not a threat at all. You know, not a threat at all. You know, I said, okay, that was the snake tail I saw.
Yeah.
It was, and after I handled the situation, obviously, I didn't have the snake. It didn't come back no more.
So, what other kind of animals are there that gives warnings or to let you know that something's coming?
Well, I mean, sometimes, like for instance, I grew up in a culture. If you dream about fish, it means someone's going to be pregnant.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah, if you dream about fish, it means somebody's going to be pregnant. Snakes, fish. You also have like water stuff about water in your dream, but animals is mostly snakes and fish. Always heard the elders talk about.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
This is interesting. So, for a lot of years, whenever I have like crows get my attention, like actually like squawk, and I was like, oh, look, there are crows. Usually somebody passes away that is like close to the family, or like a friend, or gets my attention. It's like, oh, somebody's coming.
Transition to the other side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, crow has a strong symbolic and also represents wisdom and knowledge as a animal. You know, wolves have different meanings too. You know, seeing wolves in your dream might tell you getting ready come up on a journey on your own. something individual that you're getting ready to do. So I mean, they all have like these different little meanings and stuff. Matter of fact, let's see here if I could. Like I said about wolves, they all have like different meanings when you see them. I don't know if I can get it up. For example, like wolf spirit, wildness. It means family, friendship, loyalty, playfulness, curiosity, cunning, protection, teamwork, and that's there as a spirit animal, so to speak. Everybody has an inner spirit animal that they have to go within and use. And let me tell you something about, like, for example, like with the spirit animal thing, like how I mentioned the dream about the snake. In my younger days, not that long ago, matter of fact, I would be afraid of snakes in dreams. I don't like snakes in real life. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But now I'm in tune with my spirit animal. My spirit guide like guides me and stuff. I'm like, if I'm journeying in my dream or whatever, even if I'm dealing with paranormal entities in certain places, I'm like, I'm protected, because I know what my spirit animal is, and they're standing there. They're like, I got that.
So how do I know what my spirit animal is?
You got to go within.
No.
You got to go journey. You got to go within. And that leads into.
I know you're big on meditation and.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there you
go. So, meditation is part of journeying, and there's different formats of meditation. But meditation silence your mind, and when you start journeying and stuff, your animal will come to you over time. It'll come to you. And wherever you see, like, for example, like I have a bear paw. You might have one or two spirit animals. I have two. I think my bear one is my inner spirit, but my spirit guide is my wolf.
Okay.
Meaning we all have an inner spirit animal, but then there's one that guides you and protects you. So the wolf became my spirit guide, and it started taking me on paths. And when you start meditating, you'll see it. It'll come to you. It might be at your feet. It'll come to you, but you have to go within to see it, obviously, because you're dealing in the spiritual realm. And it'll come to you. But your spirit animal has been there throughout your whole life. So most likely you already know. If you just sit back and think, you probably done seen it a couple of times.
Mine's probably a Rottweiler.
Who knows? It might be. It might be. You done seen it. I guarantee when you do see it, you're like, whoa, I've seen this before.
Yeah, I need because I know about that book that you were telling me about, and I have yet to sit down and get into it, but I need to do that because I think that'll help me a lot to sit down and meditate and get my mind right, and it's help with some stress.
What book was this? What book was this?
Hold on, I'll get it. It is the chakra healing. Oh,
interesting.
It's like I started it, but haven't gotten very far in it yet. So it's a beginner's guide to self-healing techniques and balance of the chakras.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, get it on Amazon.
See, Stacy Prince said when I was growing up, people always said if a bird would fly into your house, someone in that house was going to pass. Yeah, see, these are all, and every culture, everything is cross-cultural and everything and region. And these are all sayings I done heard. And it's funny because, at my age and my spiritual walk, now I like, especially like here in the South and everything, I can see different elements of different cultural stuff. Like I can see like Celtic paganism involved in aspects of hoodoo and Native American spirituality and all that and everything. And all these are saying this is true, true stuff. It's survived the test of the time. So it's not like it's modern day speculation.
Yeah.
It survived the test of the times.
And you're in, was it South Carolina?
Yes.
Okay, because I know Christina had asked me. I was like, I think he's in South Carolina.
Yes.
It's green wherever you're at.
My family originally from Georgia. We got Caribbean ancestry in us. I'm not that far from Charlotte. I'm probably like 40 miles out from Charlotte.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
40 miles out from Charlotte.
The South has some deep spiritual roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I went to New Orleans, and I really wanted to get into looking into the culture and some of the things. I know they do practice voodoo and all of that, but not really into it. But I'm so curious about it to kind of, see what the mindset is and how they, how they practice. And I didn't have that much time. My friend went with me, and she wasn't really, into that kind of stuff.
Right.
She
One of
was
the things
she was surprised I had her on a walking ghost tour.
One of the things that I learned about voodoo that I really liked is for paranormal investigations before you enter into a property, so residence, commercial, wherever, you knock as to like invite yourself in so that you're not just like barging into somebody's space,
Hmm.
but it's like a sign of respect that you knock and you say, and then you announce yourself, which I thought was kind of nice. It's like spirits were people at one time.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and New Orleans has their voodoo comes from originally Haiti.
from
New
Haiti.
Orleans,
Okay.
it comes from voodoo, and their even their root work over there, like their hoodoo stuff, is like a mixture of Catholicism. They have a lot of Catholic stuff mixed into it, which comes
Oh
from
wow.
Haiti. Once again, because when the Haitian Revolution started, they ran the mulattoes off the island, and they fled to New Orleans, and they brought a lot of that Haitian culture with them into Louisiana and New Orleans. Hence, how some of the Creole got there. So you'll see a strong mixture of like Catholic and mixed in with their version of hoodoo, which you don't see on the East Coast with Georgia and South Carolina and parts of North Carolina, because the Catholic faith is not big in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia like it is in Louisiana.
Usually when people hear the word voodoo, they just automatically think something evil. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily true, though, is it?
Right,
Mhm.
right, right. I mean, that's how the media market it. Because
Yeah,
look at the population it comes out of. If it's anything that's not traditional Christianity, even down to Islam. I mean, if it's not or Hinduism, if it's not traditional Christianity, it's looked at as being evil. And voodoo been around, goes back before the Bible, out of Africa, back before the Bible, way before the Bible. I mean,
mm,
Christianity itself even been around for 1,000 years
right.
when you think about it. It's funny. Like, I was reading this article. I was talking to somebody about paganism, and we were just talking about like the irony and stuff. And they're like, well, I'm a pagan, and they was like, some Christians might feel this way. And I said, well, I don't know why, because I said, if you read the Bible, I said, Christ walked on water, changed, water to wine. He pulled demons out of people. He was nailed to a cross and rose from the dead. I said, that
Yeah,
don't get more, you can't get more pagan than that. You can't get more pagan than that. If you think about it, because when people start talking about pagan, they think of all this magical stuff. And some
yeah,
people might say it's miracle. I said, well, tomato, tomato. Because
yeah.
hoodoo, like, there's a difference between hoodoo and voodoo. Voodoo is a religion. Hoodoo is like a belief system of folk magic, but it was originally started for the slaves to heal themselves if they got
Yeah, I
injured.
was going to ask you about that, the difference
Yeah,
between the two.
look, if you were a slave, you didn't have a health insurance plan. There wasn't no
Right.
Blue Cross Blue Shield. You break a leg, it was a wrap for you. That's what it was. You
You've
got
been
bit by,
through.
right? You got bit by something, you was done. So they're like, you know what? We have to keep working. So they create this element. The long story short, and for example, and there's still a lot of elements that survive here in South Carolina that's mixed in today. And for example, if you have a bad cut, they'll take a spider web, pack it in the cut, because spider web packed in the cut will stop you from bleeding.
Oh wow.
If you had certain illnesses, they had natural herbs and plants they will use. This is before holistic. Matter of fact, holistic comes out of hoodoo culture, technically. And I'm a holistic practitioner. That's what my doctorate degree is in. So like I see all that. And they would use that to break fevers and everything. So when the master himself, his child got very sick and ill because they didn't have doctors like that back
Yeah.
then. They would go down in the slave quarter and get the old woman that knew voodoo, bring her back to the house, and she will mix up where she made
Oh, the witch doctor.
and help heal the child and
Yeah.
stuff. So like hoodoo started off as healing people, and everything as a form of healing. And and I'll see how the Native American aspect got incorporated in there. When the slave ran off the plantation into the woods, he would come across the natives. And the native would show him like, hey, look, we use these plants too for this. And like, oh, and they'll start exchanging stuff, and that's how I got incorporated. And people say, well, Dan, how did the Celtic and the Irish paganism stuff get mixed in there too with them? Why? Because in America, if anybody knows anything about American history, why you find most Black Americans in the South with Irish and Scottish last name, because the Irishman was on the plantation with the Blacks too, mixed in with them. The Irishman was treated almost just as bad, almost. And I say that to anybody that's watching and teach you a little bit of history. Actually, the slave was treated better than the Irishman. You know why?
Why?
You bought the slave.
Wow.
You bought the slave. And there's stories of when they used to cross swamps, the slave master would tell the Irishman to go out in the water to see if there's gators and tell the slave to stand back. Why? Because the slave was his equipment. So
yeah, because they invested money in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like running a Suburban in a swamp.
Yeah.
So so that's how that pagan aspect got mixed in with that, and then you got this thing that's called hoodoo that came out of it. So that's the short breakdown of how all that came about. The Native American spirituality aspect, like the animals, for example, the animals and stuff. And reading the clouds and the weather, like the old folks down here could tell if it's about to rain or how to. It'd be a sunny day. They'd be like, man, that weather getting. What are you talking about? I don't see no cloud in the sky. and 2 p.m. it's thunder and storming. Somebody got a canoe going down the street and stuff. I mean, it's
they'd be like, I feel it in my bones. I broke my toe and it's gonna rain because it's aching.
You might be in the kitchen like, oh Lord, my elbow stiff. That weather's coming up. There ain't no clouds in the sky. We outside throwing the frisbee around. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. So that's how that came about.
Too funny. We were, I know I'm gonna kind of switch gears a little bit. We were when I had Barry Fitzgerald on here, we were talking about one of his books, and we were talking about UFOs and how in his book, where he was talking about how these gods, where people just assumed they were gods, and they were coming down in these fiery chariots from the sky, and I was like, until I started reading, I was like, I never thought about it, that they could have been aliens, coming from the sky.
You look at the Bible. The Bible talks about a book of Ezekiel.
Yeah.
It's spinning wheel.
Yeah.
It's spinning wheel.
So people are joking around going, when is the alien invasion gonna happen?
It already done happened.
Yeah, they just expect them to come down here and take over. They shoot down crafts.
I think some of the items that we're seeing in the sky, some of it is ours.
Yeah,
it's just that we done took technology that we done caught from crash aliens and and studied it and put it back out there as ours. A lot of it, like a lot of people don't realize, like there's like within our government, there's another government that's had their own money, their own budget that presidents and them don't know about. There's clandestine projects and stuff that's been taking place. And they out here, they got all type of technology that our main political figures don't know about.
Oh, we got the Men in Black. Hey, Michael.
So so some of it is ours. Some of it is from somewhere else, and some of it is ours.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So I wondered, it kind of, no, there's no way to determine, but if where the hell are they coming from? I mean, how far away do you think that they're traveling from, or how long they've been here, or just a lot to think about, I guess.
Well, I mean, you look at the hieroglyphics on the pyramid walls; they show crafts with wings on it. Not no bird, actual crafts with wings on it. And who knows how long they've been coming here. I have a theory. What happened if they brought us here from somewhere else and they just coming back to visit to see how we evolving as a species?
Interesting.
I mean, anything is possible, out here. I mean, I don't put limitations my thought process when it comes to trying to understand the universe, because I myself cannot get to other planets in the universe.
Right.
There's
a comedian one time, Eddie Griffin had joked around about aliens in I think it was his Voodoo Child stand up. Mm-hmm. And he said everybody talk about how they see aliens, and he's like, yeah, you don't hear about them landing. He said because we on the messed up planet tour, they just flying over just to kind of see. They see how we treating each other. It was like, no, they treat each other like that. How they gonna do with us?
or think about this. If they get back to a mothership, somebody might be getting scolded. Like, how did you go down there and let them see you like that? They got you on TV again, man. Did we tell you to turn off the jets when you're flying over such and such? Like, oh God, man. Like you're trying to have a vacation.
Like somebody at Star Trek. You're not supposed to interfere. You're not supposed to be seen.
Want to get back to much? I stopped for a hot dog. Like you never know.
So are you associated with MUFON?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a member of MUFON, and I do field investigations too.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. Do you have any? I don't know if there's any like theories of like Atlantis or the Babylonians or like those really high intelligent cultures from the ancient past where they just suddenly disappeared? Could it be possible that maybe they were alien beings and then they just kind of like up and left? Or I don't know if there are any theories like that.
well, let me break down for everybody tuning in wondering what MUFON is. MUFON is an agency that has a database that collects real potential UFO sightings. The date, the time, the states, the city, the location, and all. They have members that you have to take a test. The book is that thick. I have a book in the living room. It's that thick, a manual that you have to memorize, legal way of doing investigation, answering interviews with news reporters, collecting. We have to collect actual soil sample, run tests on the soil sample, test for radiation and other things. So to be a MUFON field investigator is a real scientific investigation method that you have to use. Right, yeah. Wow. So it's not a bunch of people running around with tinfoil hats on. It's serious. I say that because they're legit, and I want to tell you why they're so legit. The government will pull information from MUFON. If you collect substantial good enough document, the government has pulled from MUFON on numerous occasions about reports about UFOs. And you can go on the database and it'll pull up states, cities, how it was seen. Was it an orb? Was it what type of craft? We're all dating all the way back to the oldest I saw was like 82, maybe 78. Date, time, and where. Now my theory about some of the aliens you were saying, right? Mm-hmm. How Atlantis. Let's touch on Atlantis. The new research has shown that Atlantis is no longer in the sea. This was just recently in the last year. Yeah, I have posted in the group, as a matter of fact, in the Oracle group, and they said that they showed that Atlantis was actually in the center of Africa.
I saw that.
Right, and the first time Joe Rogan had somebody on there talking about it too, and they said the first time it was actually mentioned was through Egypt.
Wow.
Egypt mentioned them as a civilization. So that means that I don't want to say they date back before Egypt, because now they find out with the Sphinx themselves that they're older than what archaeologists have been saying, that they're like some of the stones date back even 5,000 years before what the archaeologists were saying. So this is all recent discoveries.
Wow.
And research that's been done. But yeah, Atlantis, now, because before they were saying it might have been between the Caribbean, between America and the Bahamas, the stones that they found in the Bahamas, like a road or something. But no, based on how they found this circle in northern Africa that kind of extends out northwest a little bit, and how it was described with the water running there, they're like with corrosion and stuff. It was once raised up, and now it might be sunken down in the ground. And based on theories. Yeah,
it's cool looking. It's really cool looking.
What happened if the Egyptians and the Atlanteans had some type of interactions with each other?
Yeah.
Right now, Egypt on Earth is the most ancient place, advanced civilization, ancient place that still have ruins to prove it on Earth. After that comes a strong second is China. They have the second most ancient civilization on Earth.
Oh, about Antarctica.
So, they've been saying, the alien bases in Antarctica, and that's been a theory too, or that the Nazis had created a hidden base in
I heard
Antarctica.
about that.
Right. Now, let me tell you something. In terms of UFOs, because a UFO don't have to be just from outer space. During
Right.
World War II, they were saying that if that war would have went on any longer, that we would have lost that war because the Germans were working with technology that was so far superior than the United States and craft that they never seen before. When they took the books and stuff, they had the bell that they were working on that could hover in place. All different type of looking craft that people thought maybe they seen in Roswell. And people still say today that Roswell was actually German technology that crashed.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I haven't heard that one.
Have you? Sorry, that just made me think of something.
No,
I think it was during 2020. There was something that came up in, I think, New Mexico. Oh gosh, I wish I can remember the details. And I was just wondering if you had heard anything about it. Like they closed down a park or an observatory or something, and it was just kind of like there were some weird scenarios going on.
In New Mexico?
New Mexico, I think.
I didn't hear that, but I remember in 2020, you remember they were talking about bum rushing Area 51? Remember that big thing? That was a big thing. They was talking like all these people getting together and saying we're just gonna rush Area 51.
Yeah, I'm from Pahrump, so I'm very familiar with 51.
Yeah, and they said they're gonna stop it and everything. And that's an interesting in itself, Area 51, because their employees are flown in every day.
They have what flown in every day?
Their employees
are
flown in every day with blacked out windows on the airplanes and stuff. Very, very interesting place. And they said there's many other Area 51s. And some even and the thing is, like the sign that stops you that say you can't go no further, they say you gotta actually go like maybe 10 to 15 more miles out from that sign, and Area 51 actually rests inside of a valley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually inside of a valley area. So even when you see that sign, they got you way out. That's nowhere even near it. Even if you get past all the security right there, they're like you're nowhere even near it.
Yeah, I was just sitting up here wondering how close you can get to it before they was like, nope, you're not permitted.
But there is a mountain that I saw in a documentary recently where they climbed up on the mountain and they say you can see the lights and all of it from there. But the guy did say in the documentary, he's like, but technically we're over 15 to 20 miles out.
Wow.
Where they was at in the mountain. He said you're just looking at the lights of it and everything. But there's been talk that there's other Area 51s, and even that the one that we think holds everything possibly could be a decoy. But I think that statement in itself was a decoy.
Interesting. Do you think that there's some kind of connection between aliens and the paranormal?
Well, people were saying recently over the last 10 years or so that if you see Bigfoot, there's usually a UFO nearby, and Bigfoot himself could be a hybrid alien. That came up too. I think they're two separate entities based off of my research and based off of me being a MUFON member.
Yeah.
They're two separate entities, because you're talking about what does paranormal have to do with somebody re-engineered alien crash technology?
Yeah.
And put it up in the sky. It's like me putting a jet on my X5. It's not paranormal. It's just a souped up technology on the X5.
Yeah.
But I say that like I can see where people will want that correlation. I don't make that correlation. I don't want to muddy the waters.
Yeah. Well, what about like cryptids and skinwalkers and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, they're paranormal in itself. Like Skinwalker, it's just paranormal in itself. But once again, I think that like certain things are just in its own slot in itself.
Hmm.
The world is full of many secrets and vast things that the human mind cannot comprehend yet.
Oh, I'm
And,
sure. Yeah.
and we're just learning to comprehend it. Honestly, the fact that we even had on the news channel 2 weeks ago that there might be UFOs, we have come a long way.
Oh yeah. They denied Area 51 for years.
Right. I'm like, man, who ever figured we up here talking about UFOs on Fox News and not only that during a presidential press release, and people is like serious about this and everything. But we live in an interesting time now. Do we? Now the question is, do I think that we'll be invaded? Yes, I do. I think that it won't. I think we're going to see some type of gigantic ship come out of this cloud one day. Is it a hologram? I don't know because it hasn't happened yet. But I think we will see something in our lifetime.
Yeah.
That they can't cover up. That they can't cover up.
Well, they can't because everybody has a camera nowadays, and
Exactly.
everybody's spotting things, and they can't hide it anymore because like I said, everybody has a camera nearby. And as soon as you see something, they're recording video and they're posting it online. TikTok and Instagram, and yeah. So you just can't say it don't exist anymore.
The worst thing that'll happen to you on social media, like what happened to me, like I was out there dropping, Jim and I was dropping that information about the UFO stuff so fast, the algorithm couldn't keep up with us.
Nah.
I came back a following week later, I got shadow banned. I posted something else, an update about it, and the algorithm killed it off because they didn't want us talking about that on Facebook.
Wow. Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and that's the thing I don't like about certain social medias, like this algorithm thing. Like I believe that you should see posts regardless if you're following somebody. I just don't want to see people that I'm following. I mean, that's not learning.
Yeah.
Not learning. And you get up there and you start posting, you say something and, oh, well, we don't want America talking about this topic right now. And all of a sudden your post don't get seen. You get that's shadow ban. And I was like, whoa. Now let me post something crazy that sound like drama. Oh man, you go back, you have 500 people hitting like that you didn't even know that knew you existed. Because the social media feeds off of drama.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feeds off of drama. But you won't get that from me.
I got put in Facebook jail about some joke I made about COVID one day, and they were like, what did it say? It's not accurate information or whatever. They're fact checkers or whatever. It's like, come on, really?
Fact yep. Somebody back there saying, hey, that's inaccurate.
Censorship. That's exactly what it is.
But Twitter will let the new Twitter, you can say, they'll let you post that up there. Like when we got off, I was shocked that because I rushed home. I'm not gonna lie. Let me tell you something. When the news broke about these craft, I was downtown Columbia. I had to pull the car over, take a couple of deep breaths, get myself grounded and balanced. I did not need caffeine. I felt like the spirit of Rick James was in me. I was on. I was antsy, shaking. I was all over the place. Where's Jim at? Somebody seen Jim? We gotta talk, man. It's happening. It's happening. And I was so pumped up, and I was shocked when we ended the show. I looked back at the Twitter account. I was like, holy, over 300 something people that fast on Twitter.
Wow. Because
of the algorithm let you be seen up front.
Wow. So let me see. A spaceship quantum travel situation. Maybe they are working on creating another habitable Earth.
Well, yeah, I mean, Earth is working on creating another habitable Earth. It's called Mars.
Oh yeah, they're trying hard to do that. Yep.
Yeah, it's called Mars. I mean, think about this. We have what is it called? Space Force, the new Air Force branch.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's Space Force.
Yeah, they going up to space. I'm a veteran. That wasn't around when I was in. Now you have Space Force. I mean, what are they creating Space Force for? What are they going out to space for? And they pointing to the sky. Why? Because they getting ready to transition and start moving humanity onto Mars. Do they know if the Earth is about to get polluted or invaded or something? I don't know. I don't think so, but I think they're just trying to expand their horizon. And people
Well, I mean,
forget,
it got global warming on top of that, yeah.
right? And people forget that space have a lot of natural metals and resources out there too.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they don't go find another place to pollute.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, Mars looks fresh and clean. You get there is green water now.
The people, one that kill me is the people that don't believe that there's life out there. It's like, life is such vast on this planet. How do you not think that there's other life forms out there somewhere? Maybe not in our galaxy, but they're out there. They're definitely out there. Come on.
Look, we haven't even explored the ocean floor yet.
Nope.
Right.
We haven't explored elements of the Amazon.
Yep.
The Amazon. The Amazon.
Yeah.
We haven't explored elements of the Amazon. Like, they still find indigenous tribes deep down that's alive in the Amazon. Indigenous tribes. You remember that guy that went out there on that island to try to preach the word of God, and they speared him to death, and they told him not to go out there?
Wow.
It was
No,
a couple of years back. You can look up the tribe, and it's an island, and they've been telling people for decades, don't go close to this island. These tribal people are violent and dangerous. They even had ships that sail close to the island, and I don't know how they throwing these spears that far. They're chucking these spears way, and they kill people.
Wow.
And he went out there and tried to preach the word of God, and they speared him to death.
I mean, climate lockdowns.
Well, I mean, if you're not respecting other cultures.
Well, yeah, and they haven't for decades or centuries. They don't. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And think about this: how arrogant you have to be to go out there with a holy book that's not even 800 years old and tell an indigenous tribe that has survived probably for over 1,000 years, untouched, unscathed, that they need to follow this faith.
They had a helicopter spirit. Wow.
That's pretty arrogant.
Yep. Wow.
So a UFO question for you. So I've heard this theory that if you're attracted to, and I'm using the wrong terms, let me know. So if you're attracted to everything surrounding the UFOs, and so UFOlogy, I don't know if that's the right word.
What was it?
Okay. So if you're attracted to UFOs and aliens and that topic, that it's possible that you may have had some kind of interaction and you don't know about it. I've heard about this theory, but I don't know how true it is or how accepted it is. Have you heard anything about that?
So basically, say if you attracted to aliens, UFO topic, that you probably had most likely some form of encounter. That's what
right.
To it.
Right.
Well, I mean, I can see how they could make that correlation, but I believe that might be a possible pseudo correlation. Because humanity itself are attracted to many things that we have not experienced yet.
Right. That's true.
I can see how they can make that correlation, but from me studying this UFO stuff for decades, I haven't seen that scientific correlation research being done yet off of it.
Gotcha.
What's the Black Pyramid in Denali that Michael's mentioning? Sorry. Does anybody know?
That?
The Black Pyramid? I don't know. Hey, Laura.
I don't know.
I don't know, Michael. I haven't heard of it. I don't know. Yeah. I can't answer the question. I had a question. Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna, so many hundreds of thousands, and do you actually really think that people are getting abducted by aliens and being returned, and that they're having? I mean, how many people are doing it? They can't saying that this is happening. So everybody can't be wrong.
Well, I mean, remember, 5 to 10 years ago, you looked at it crazy for saying that you even saw a UFO. Now, we actually having this talk with our president. And I tell people, I said, if you see crafts in the sky, the next topic we will have to discuss is alien abduction. Is it real? Did it really occur? And the guy Travis from the movie Fire in the Sky, which is one of the most well documented. That man was on Oprah. Phil Donahue back in the 80s. He has taken, even on Oprah, they gave him a lie detector test and he passed it. His story has not changed. They say he passed every lie detector test they give him about him being abducted by aliens. And he was working with his brother-in-law and the log chopping crew, and he got out and he described what he saw. Now the movie is amazing. I think you can watch it on Tubi. And when I've
seen it a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, you remember that? Fire in the Sky. And what I remember inside there was a couple of things. Humanoid-looking aliens. 2, that one scene where he fell like into like a pit and there was like skeletons and stuff in there. I noticed that there was skeletons in there wearing Spaniard helmets. And there was swords and spears and old shields and stuff. So that lets you know these aliens have been coming here for years. Thousands of years.
So I think it's the other way around. Like aliens are attracted to energy that connects to our senses, their own. I believe that we spiritually elevate the globe as a globe whole and detecting us more attracted to that energy. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it could be.
Michael said it's in Alaska, the Black Pyramid.
In remote and so okay. I mean, like I said, when you're talking about aliens, you have to step out of which we've been guilty of as humans, because we are humans, so we're going to think like a human. If I was a dolphin, I'll think like a dolphin. When you talk about aliens, you have to step out of the zone of how we view humanity. We're talking about advanced civilization that we don't know why they're coming here, why they have been here. We don't know anything about them. We don't know what language they speak. We don't know if they have 2 hearts, 1 heart, a brain. Yep. We don't know nothing about them. How they communicate, how they reproduce, nothing.
Right.
And when we discuss aliens, the biggest thing I always try to do is take a step back and say to myself, like, hey man, let's approach this with an open mind. Let's approach it with an open mind.
And you never know if it's the same
type of alien
either. Yeah. This could be several different civilizations that we're talking about that's coming here. And
that's been documented. That has been documented by government officials that say they have seen different types of they have encountered different types of species. Now, did you guys ever watch it was back in May of 2022. The Congress had a meeting live on TV, and it's crazy how a lot of people didn't see this. It was live, but it came on at 9 in the morning and went off like at 12:30 in the afternoon or 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And they was talking about, they showed video footage live on regular TV.
Oh wow!
They had a live meeting about strictly UFOs. They had Obama talking about like crafts. Videos they showed him saying like, and he's like, these things are more. He's talking about he's seen footage that they not showing the public. And like the one in Puerto Rico that went down in the water, split in 2 and came back up. It was, and how it descend in a matter of seconds into the water and back out again. Same thing with these Tic Tac objects that's in the sky. Now, some people say that the Tic Tac objects in the sky is actually some clandestine project that's spying on our own government. And they're running the test by messing with the Navy. So they're like, well, we could dodge the Navy, we could dodge China.
Wow. Michael wants to know if you think more portals are opening.
Yes. You remember the French just was playing around with a portal back here in July that opened up, and they was trying to create an alternate universe that mirror our universe. And I have concerns about that because once again, you're playing around with science, you're playing around with portals and stuff, and you might attempt to try to mirror something that turns out to be something that's far more worse and evil than what's here.
Yeah.
It's like looking at yourself in another dimension. You don't know what type of person you're going to be in another dimension.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, I do believe
this me is right here in a asshole in the next one.
Oh, man. They have to put me down. But the thing is, though, about the whole portal thing, portal's been documented back since indigenous tribes were seen.
Yeah.
Scientists found ways to like mess with molecules and things like that to open them up. But portals themselves, like there've been documentation of people going in caves and ended up in different realms.
Wow. So, regarding spiritualism and paranormal activities, how do you determine if your spirit team is visiting you versus other activities? I feel like I may mistake the two because they're all powerful energies.
Regarding spiritualism and paranormal activity, how can you determine if your spirit team is visiting? What do you? I'm trying to understand the team part. Paranormal activity. I guess you try to say, is it spiritualism or is it paranormal activity? That's how I'm taking this question.
Like maybe your spirit guide versus an entity of some sort. It seems like they would be intertwined, no?
Hmm.
Because you have your spirit guide and be on a different plane. Paranormal activity, I mean, the spirit guide could be considered a paranormal, right?
Well, she says right.
Since spiritual, regarding spiritual and paranormal attack, in terms of your spirit team visiting your. Oh. So basically, is it spiritual or is it like something maybe demonic or like a ghost or whatever?
Right.
Right. Okay. That's what I think you're hitting at. Well, I mean, remember. All right. Good night. Remember now, spiritual fan, for everybody that's watching.
Oh, she said yes.
Okay. Remember, I want to break down a couple of things. Ghosts usually will haunt places, and they don't always have to be a haunted. Let's clear that up too. You can see apparitions somewhere that just could be moving around and it's not actually kicking stuff over and breaking things. You know,
Right.
It's just they're just there. Like once again, if you see a deceased family member, you know, my aunt passed away 2 years ago in my grandmother's house. If I come out in the kitchen late one night and I see her ghost figure there, that doesn't necessarily mean she's there to torment us or scare us. It's just
Right.
she's just there. And also that's the last place she was at before she passed, you know? Now demons torment people and items. They could possess items and people. Like they could, you know, like you heard about books that are like evil and you know, demonic and stuff. A demon, you could fly from Brooklyn, New York to Jamaica and that demon will follow you.
Yep.
And it'll wreak havoc on you. You won't be able to sleep. You'll lose weight. You know, your hair might fall out. All different type of things can happen to you. And that's not a spirit guide at all. And I question what my little wolfie could do. But you know, but that's how you know. Like, if it's a paranormal entity, like I said, and like I said, once again, paranormal don't have to necessarily mean that something is throwing cups around. We want to get away from that. You know, that's like, we just want to get away from that type of thought about paranormal activity. I mean, paranormal activity could just, like I said, once again, it could be you look up in that old house and see a face there. An apparition, see through face. Like when I was in North Carolina with Rob and them, right?
Yep.
And we was on that back road, Brian and I. And
okay.
And I looked over. Brian was with me now, and it's on tape. It's on video footage. By the way, go to my YouTube channel. Brian was with me, and I saw a woman face up there on the top, on that very, very top floor, looking out the window. On that very, very top floor.
Was that?
That was a Masonic. I think it might have been a Masonic live. Because the two.
Okay, because I'm gonna say you did a live that night, right?
Yeah.
Were you on a live? I think I remember that.
I was with Rob and Brian up there.
Yeah.
Right. She wasn't throwing nothing. And it was, the story was that it was, I think it was like a, forgive me everybody, but that's what she was. That was her career path. She was a prostitute.
Yeah. Well, they had a lot of that back then.
Yeah. It was a brothel. The Masonic Lodge used to be a brothel. That's what it was. And she was well known in the community. And I could have been looking at an apparition of her. She wasn't throwing anything, you know? So
just hanging out.
Yeah, you know, I mean, so sometimes you'll see ghosts and spirits around. The entire realm right in front that we can't see. So not every spirit seeing detecting the spirit trying to connect. Oh, exactly. Like this spirit's always walking by and stuff.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the elders used to say, my dad used to say, if you walking somewhere and you feel a change in the temperature, If it's hot or cold, turns drastic right there in that 1 second. You just walk through a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's spirits all around us. There's ghosts all around. I mean, every another thing too. Everybody don't transition over. Some spirits get stuck. Like, for example, in Statesboro, Georgia, where my parents are from, I've been hearing this for a long time. And I have real footage of my family member talking about it. My Aunt Dot was a kid working in a cornfield on our land. We got huge farmland down there. We got a farming company. And she was a kid back then, my Aunt Dot. And she seen this man walk across the field in broad daylight with overalls on and no head on his shoulders. No head on his shoulders. Yeah, he wasn't scaring anybody. He wasn't doing anything crazy. And she said he just walked through the field and faded away. 3 other people in the next property over saw the same thing.
Wow.
So I said, well, let me get to the bottom of this because, let's find out a story of what happened. So I start talking to people within like a 5-mile radius. Had they ever heard about a man walk through the field with no head? And they're like, oh man, that was back in 1870 something, man. You talking about Mr. Such and Such. They say he slipped and fell in the combine and his head he was decapitated.
Wow.
And they say people see him. Just his body just walk through the field and never at nighttime. They say because they said the accident happened in broad daylight, and they say and it just fades out into the field. He just fades away. You'll see him for like maybe 4 seconds.
So it sounds like residual energy.
Yeah, he probably didn't. Well, he just never transitioned over. I guess he got ahead of himself. I don't know.
Well, you know what they say, if it's he's so silly. If they die a violent death, that they don't, that happens, that they're stuck, they don't realize that, what's happened to them, and to stop while he was ahead. He's so silly.
Yeah, but let me tell you something though, like about spirits too, since we are on talking about this. I also believe spirits could follow certain family members around. Remember, you want me to tell the story? Remember I hit you up a few days ago and told you the story that happened to me?
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna start talking about some announcements and stuff.
Well, I know you had some announcements. It's almost 8, so.
All right. I'm gonna tell you something now. All right. So one, I'll be an interview for a TV show, and out of Canada, and they're gonna air it down here. So while they're doing the Zoom meeting with me and stuff, I have this spirit that's been following me around since I was a kid. I seen it. They actually put hands on me and try to drag me under a bed. It's not a fun spirit. And it attacked me again in college. And it played a role into me going from being so religious to the path that I'm on, my spiritual path I'm on now. And I see it every now and then. I can almost see through it. And I'm talking to this TV producer, and he's, we in the Zoom conversation. And I'm telling him everything about it. And also I hear, boom! Water starts pouring out my kitchen sink. Live on Zoom camera. I'm nowhere near the sink. I'm sitting where I'm at like now, right here with you. And water's pouring, but the faucet not on. It's going all over my floor, everything. And I already know what it is because the spirit gets jealous. Like when I start telling them what it done did to me, like it gets like aggravated. Like it don't attack me anymore because I'm 43 years old and I'm so in depth into my spiritual walk and my path that it knows what I'm about now. It's like, okay, I can't get at him like that. Like when he was young at 21 and goofy and dancing a gyro. But anyway, so the water's pouring all over the floor, and I turn the camera so the producer can see it. And he's freaking out. He's like, holy shit. He's like, I'm looking at this. I'm seeing this with my own eyes too. And I turn around and I yelled at it because that's how I was taught by my dad about the spirit. You got to yell at it, curse at it, and it'll stop. And I told her, I was like, hey, I cursed that, blah, blah. I said, hey, just cut the shit out. I'm just telling the story, blah, blah. I said, stop getting jealous. You already know what's going on with both of us. The water stopped instantly. Live on camera. Stop instantly. I told Donna right away. I sent her pictures.
Yep, send me pictures of all the water on the floor. Yep. Yeah.
Send her pictures instantly. It didn't bother me no more. After I yelled at and told, stop being jealous, it didn't bother me no more. And the producer called me back, and obviously I landed the role on the show, a paranormal show and stuff. That was one announcement and stuff, and I'll be posting the exact show. I'm supposed to be going to film in Atlanta at the end of the month.
That's awesome.
The other thing It's called actually when spirits attack. Irony of it. Irony of it. But no, but like so like everybody know me as a spiritualist, and sometime in the world, and I know I go by the Hoodoo Lounge moniker and everything like that, and everything, and the Hoodoo Lounge came about because of what happened to me. I created the Hoodoo Lounge as a place where we could talk about alternative spirituality. I created it back in 2020 because of the whole COVID thing, yada yada. So long story short, sometimes people are like, oh, he's just a hoodoo practitioner. No, that's not true. That's far from the truth. I do stuff far more greater than hoodoo. And I'm not knocking hoodoo. I'm just telling you, I've been doing this for decades. I evolved as a spiritual being. I've been battling with these entities, and that's why I've been on a couple of shows. So I say that I got initiated actually into shamanism. Now, I actually been practicing shamanism for probably about roughly 13 years, but I actually went ahead and had a spiritual guide person, King Aru, matter of fact, is his name here in Columbia, South Carolina. He has like 4 different places throughout here and stuff. I actually went ahead and took the walk to get initiated to a higher level of it, to understand it, and to also use it in my spiritual walk for healing and battling against different entities.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. So that was one of my announcements that I had wanted to make and stuff. And I tell everybody, just get out in nature, man. Bond with nature. You'll learn a lot with yourself. You know, there's so much good energy and positive energy floating around in nature. And get out there and just learn, you know. Open yourself up to the world.
Yeah.
There's great
Yeah,
things floating around.
you got to get out there and get grounded.
Grounded, become one with the universe. I mean, there's so much more.
Have an
out
open
here
mind.
Yeah, have an open mind. There's so much more out here in this world that we don't see and everything. Yeah. You know, even down to taking a walk on some trails. Easy to do, get your heart stimulated, and just becoming one with the universe. I think, like, I got a flip phone for my main phone line now.
Was that an African shaman? I guess was the first picture you brought up.
Actually, it's interesting you picked that up because when I was talking to him about becoming a shaman and everything, well, I didn't ask. Let me clear that up. I did not ask. And the reason I want to say that is because, and I've made the announcement here with you guys about me taking that initiation, but you won't see that like in my titles on social media because it's a form of arrogance. It's like walking around calling yourself a guru.
Right.
No, and I'm not about that. You'll know if you sit down with me what I am and how I live my life. Like, okay, there's something deeper than going on here. But no, it's not African shamanism because there's thousands of different types of shamans out there. You got just thousands. I can't even get into them. And different paths. Even in countries, there's different paths of shamanism. And people say, well, how do you become a shaman? Most shamans suffered an ill fate. They were born with a mental problem. They were born, they might have came close to death. And once again, Donna, know I got real sick.
Yep.
A couple of months back, I got really, really sick. Almost, honestly, I might have checked out. I got caught COVID. I don't know. I had it bad. Yeah. Almost a month. I went to the hospital twice in one day and was begging for help, crying. And they laid me on a stretcher in the hallway and never brought me to the back to be seen at the VA hospital. I lived by myself. Kids and everybody else is 2 hours away. I stayed in the living room because I didn't want to spread the stuff around. And I remember waking up. What scared me was my tongue swelled up real big. Yes, remember the myth about having a COVID tongue? Yeah, I had this shit. Whatever you could catch, I had it with that one. I don't know. And all of a sudden, my breathing gave out. And the room went black.
Wow.
I was pouring in sweat when I changed my shirt 3 or 4 times in the middle of the night. I woke up on my living room floor. It was like 6 a.m. I had lost probably roughly in that 3-week period, I probably lost like almost like 10 to 15 pounds. And
wow.
I might have checked out. I don't know what it feel like to die, but the reason I say that was because my breathing completely just went out on me. It was something I never felt before. It was beyond losing, like, oh my God, I can't breathe. No, this was something different. Anyway, long story short, I got past it thanks to the powers that be. And I was telling King Aru about this, and he said, so now you ready? I said, what? So you ready? He said, for that walk. And he said, you had your near-death experience, you had your mental breakdown when you went through divorce and everything. He said, and you've been practicing this walk for years, but you put other titles to it. So he said, now you had the near-death. That's the ultimate calling for you to be a shaman.
Wow.
So, you know, this is not something that you could just go into like a Facebook group and pick up ways. I mean, everybody could practice shaman to some degree, but like to have that calling on you where you can really start healing people, one of the signs is near-death experience.
Wow.
I had that. And from there, I went through the last stages of my initiation and came out. So I know people see the whole hoodoo line thing, and I have to say that because sometimes like, yo, look, just because people have made hoodoo a trend. And I'm like, I don't want to get stuck in a trend. I do know how to do hoodoo, but there's other paths of spirituality, which the whole Hoodoo Lounge group and talk show talks about. That's far more bigger, you know?
Wow. All right. Well, I sure appreciate you coming on, Dedrick. We're at a little over our hour, but it's been, I always enjoy talking to you. First time I met Dedrick, we talked on the phone for an hour. Our very first conversation. He is so easy to talk to.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I would love to speak more with you about it. I just joined for a greater purpose. There you go.
Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah. Well, all of you guys that came and watched, we really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed our show. We're gonna get ready to head out here and see you next week, hopefully.
Peace and blessings.
Let me get to let me find my outro. Bye, guys.